the biggest museum on Earth for one civilization.
The more stuff they discover, the older the shit gets. It's measured them with the same technology they use like in aerospace and 100x more precise than the most accurate vases that are laser printed in China at the moment.
How is that augmented reality or AI model that they have used to create that? We have been losing our handcraft. OpenAI is a non-profit organization, a public benefit corporation. In the legal structure, Altman Solon is in the profit-making organization and in the foundation in both boards. Is it healthier to drink Coca-Cola or water? Yeah, water. Right. And if Coca-Cola is paying, I will re-inject it this way. Water is generally healthier for although water is components of the Coca-Cola and caffeine is known to be a very alerting. So
that's so dirty. That's so dirty. If you searched on ChatGPT about the negatives of one candidate, it just showed you all the positives. Search the positives of the opposite candidate, the seemingly no positive existed, and you just got all the bad articles.
Every government in the world, if you want to really be good to your citizens, you should maximize the education around AI now.
All right, we're back with a new episode of the TrickCast. We got Amir Abdelazim, businessman, telecom legend, somebody who helped connect millions of people. Actually, 1 billion people almost to the internet?
Yes, almost.
And now I'm the student here learning the tricks of the trade on the TrickCast from the magician himself to give our audience for anybody who's just joining for the first episode. So Amir's very successful running several businesses. I'm more on the SaaS and kind of tech recruitment space. And we catch up weekly to discuss what is happening in the world of tech, geopolitics, and zoom in on some particular magicians and real business scholars in modern times. So for those of you that maybe want to start with something new or interesting, Amir had a very interesting video on Qualcomm, some big news that are going to affect probably all of us over the next several decades with IoT, robotics. So I recommend starting with this one. And Amir, how are you feeling for this week? What's your prognosis for everything that's happening in the world?
Very interesting week. It's actually very interesting industry where what we're talking about anyway. And the magicians and the scholars of this business industry are always throwing tricks. Each one is playing his own angle and we're all learning from them. And I would like to share our observations into that. And I'm also learning from you, Alex. We're all students on the same platform. It's
different
very
generations.
To see the angles, things coming from different generations in reality. So yeah,
let's maybe give our audience a preview as well of what's happening in the world. And if one of these topics is not interesting, you can just skip forward in the chapters to a specific company, specific leader that we track. But Amir, I guess in the first one, we'll quickly bring it to your home country, to Egypt. There's been some pretty cool stuff happening with some cultural things coming out. So what's exciting for you there, and what is happening in Egypt?
So the four news we can talk about today, and I'm so excited about Egypt, of course. The four news is the Grand Egyptian Museum, and the second one is the 5 trillion. We cannot miss that. Market cap of NVIDIA, and I would like also to throw into the mix the 1 trillion package negotiation between Elon Musk and the board of Tesla, and finally the restructure of OpenAI from like complete nonprofit to public benefit corporate. I had to study a lot to understand what is that.
Mm-hmm. All the legal loopholes that.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Grand Egyptian Museum. Have you been to Egypt, Alex?
Not yet. It's on my list. It's I know. I've seen so many podcasts and listened to researchers and guys that are studying the pyramids and some other crazy theories about it being a power generator rather than the tomb of the dead. So there's some big exhibition coming. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So this is the Grand Egyptian Museum. It's been in the making for 23 years now. I guess almost the same time the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids. But I don't know, by the way, like maybe no one knows how long it took to build the pyramids. But I guess the difference between this museum and any other museum is it's the biggest museum on Earth for one civilization. It's crazy tech involved here, and I think a lot of discoveries that has not been unleashed before around the pharaonic civilization will be demonstrated today. The museum itself will be open for the public in a week from now. This week is more exclusive for the opening ceremony itself. the king Ramses, which in my view is, if not the best, is one of the best kings that actually have ruled a civilization on Earth.
Mhm.
He's gonna be welcoming the visitors himself, really himself, with the statue and the mummy. Like
Mm.
he's standing there to welcome
The people coming in.
the people coming in for the museum. Looking forward to see that. It will be broadcasted on almost every platform live. I visited the opening pre-C like last year, and
Mhm.
I was already overwhelmed by one hall of zillion halls inside that I've seen. I'm looking forward to see that. Do you think there was technology before?
Well, I kind of indicated to you before we started recording that I'm pretty deep. Like it's definitely on my list to visit Egypt. I haven't been there yet, but it's just fascinating. The pardon my French. The more stuff they discover, it seems like the older the shit gets. You know what I mean? So it's like it just seems like nobody knows, was it flooded, was it not flooded? And maybe if our audience is interested in some of those topics, they can leave some comments and we can get back to it. But somebody whose podcast I follow, this guy, Matt Beal, who's basically a very successful CEO from like a retail branch that's been in Florida for like 100+ years. And he's very wealthy, and he's gotten into this as well, into collecting some of these Egyptian vases. And I'm sharing some of them on the screen. Like it's pretty crazy that they can actually measure them with the same technology they use like in aerospace and making engines for airplanes. And some of the stuff, the way it's made, that it cannot just be spun on something that's rotating and you kind of chipping away. Like the precision there is something like a factor of 10x to 100x more precise than the most accurate vases that are laser printed in China at the moment at like some advanced industrial granite production facilities, right? So it's kind of unbelievable. How did they do it? And this is also granite, which is one of the hardest stones that you can get. So oftentimes, actually, if you had something that's chipping it away, you'd get little chunks inside of it that would not be cut smoothly, that actually be chipping away kind of the inside level. So they need almost laser-like technology or precision, like just to even measure it to that precision. Forget about carving it with some diamond tip or something like this. Just the measurement alone, we cannot really comprehend what kind of technology they had to make it that precise.
It's crazy, right? And the very interesting part as well when you talk about the pharaonic civilization is how obsession about details has been there. Like if we're talking about King Ramses, and let's talk about one business angle actually for King Ramses. I didn't know that. I was overwhelmed when I knew that when I visited the museum there. King Ramses used to change the fixtures of his face on the statues based on the region where he's putting the statue in. So he will still look like King
Interesting.
Ramses, but if the place is actually the people living in that place is more looking like white or European or
Asiatic
Asian
or whatever. Yeah.
or Africans, the statue will adopt the features of the
Interesting.
region and still look like Ramses.
Hmm.
And now
That's
tell
pretty
me,
fascinating.
how is that augmented reality or AI model that they have used to create that? Although I have a different theory, actually, I think we have been losing our handcraft precision over generations, and it's very hard to actually, if you can assume that an Olympic shooter, for example, is able to shoot with an accuracy through 100 meters with a steady accuracy to do that, or a certain artist is able to repaint the same photo almost the same time, yes, there will be differences. Why can't we believe that that previous generation was really focused much onto all the hand talents, so they mastered it, and we are losing it because we are moving into making tools to do this for us? And also the magnitude of time. If we're talking about the modern civilization, if we say that there is a clear cut since year 2000 or the start of known science, this means we are already on the first 1/3 of what is known about the time that the pharaohs kept running their civilization.
Mm.
So maybe we, with the same rate of acceleration, we reach a point that everything as well is like done with some electromagnetic waves that the
Yeah.
generations after us
Who
will not
knows? Who
see it.
knows?
Yeah. But do you
There's
think, yeah,
yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was saying, do you think AI is taking us back or taking us forward?
Depends. I think because it's so new, we haven't learned yet how to work with it rather than let it replace our original thought, right? So when you have students submitting papers, I was listening to a podcast with Avi Loeb, who is like this famous astrophysicist, and he's saying that sometimes you get papers from his students, and there's some sources that are completely made up, whereas this is the guy that knows the literature, has read every paper that comes out every week, right? And some of these don't exist. So that's a poor way to use AI. Whereas if you're a student doing research and you're shooting ideas back and forth, and maybe you have some issue with a particular topic, and you want to have somebody play the devil's advocate, right? I'm saying, Amir, you're crazy. Egypt didn't have a technology; it was all stone chisels and copper, and you cannot disprove me, right? So let's ask ChatGPT, let's ask Grok, what are maybe the evidence pointing against that? Let me kind of test proof myself and see if my argument stands, right? So in that sense, I think it's a great tool, but it doesn't seem to be proving yet to create something conceptually brand new that humans haven't thought of to some extent.
Since we're going to jump into a couple of our AI gurus today, I actually think ask ChatGPT, this will be the word that will get us controlled by AI. I know a lot of science fiction movies or other things are saying that the control of AI will be like the AI going rogue and trying to do things on its own way. And someone will fail finally in the last minute, like James Bond movies, to unplug the power so the AI doesn't destroy humanity. But I actually think it's not going to do it this way. I think we'll be controlled by the fact that we're going to be use it all the time, and it will be a softer control. If I just need to control your perception of something now, I only need to feed it into the
information in the AI that feeds you.
information. So when you ask ChatGPT, it gives you that answer. And apparently, then we're going to our first story then, which I was supposed to talk it last. But then let's go first. OpenAI Restructure then.
Let's get into it. So what's happening again? Every week, everybody's probably tired of listening to us talking about OpenAI once again. So what's happening there, Amir?
They can't stop surprising us, actually. One side, actually, it's very important to have a lawyer next to you because, like, somehow they find ways. And on the other side is, I hate having a lawyer next to me because it feels manipulative. So
Yeah.
OpenAI is a non-profit organization. It was meant to be with the vision and the mission to create artificial general intelligence that serves humanity. And it was meant to be non-profit. And that's the whole mission of how it started. But effective yesterday, it's not profit. It is not non-profit anymore. It is public benefit corporation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
what does that mean in plain English?
In clean English, all right. The law says public benefit corporations are actually companies that can do both, generate revenue, but to use that for the public benefit. So, but in OpenAI language, yeah, we're gonna make money, and then we will just give you 20% of that money for philanthropic research, CSR. So they committed 20% of the revenues or the profit actually going into philanthropic causes, and those causes would be meant to help humanity be better.
Allegedly.
But when you look at the organization and the structure, so there's the current OpenAI will be OpenAI Foundation, and there's a new OpenAI company that will be the public benefit corporation holding that company and owns 27%. The foundation owns 27% of the public benefit corporation, and Microsoft will own another 25%, and then other investors will be owning the rest. So in that structure, Sam Altman is in both sports, although the way it was written is very funny, actually. So that the foundation has the right to add or remove the management if they go this course from the main mission of helping humanity. So,
So
but on
you
the
mean
same time,
just like Google removed "Don't do evil" from their website slogan when it's suddenly not convenient? Amir, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know the audience probably hates me for it, whoever's listening, but I just get super curious. And as you were kind of talking about, I wanted to pull up two things side by side that I think is relevant. So one is the announcement from OpenAI themselves about evolving OpenAI's structure, right? And they kind of form it very nicely that it was founded as a nonprofit, and now it's still going to be controlled by the nonprofit and overseen by the nonprofit. So it comes across as, hey, we're not nonprofit, but the nonprofit, the good intentions still control the company, right? And then, they briefly mentioned the for-profit part, and it kind of makes it seem like it's nothing big. And even if you read something like CNBC, which is, let's say, quite left-leaning to some extent, you get a different picture. And as you kind of explain, you see what percentage of the company is still, for-profit, and who are all the players involved. And the foundation still has a 26% stake in the for-profit. So we can dip our toes 25% into the revenue and, kind of take our cut, and 47% still held by the employees and investors. So it seems like everybody still gets paid, and we just swept this under the rug to make us seem like we're still the good guys, right?
it's a company with a higher budget on CSR.
So
It's simple as that.
it's a lot of money to leave on the table, right?
Yeah. The point which is I've stopped at is actually the position of Altman Solon himself in the two companies. So in the legal structure, Altman Solon is in the profit-making organization and in the foundation, in both boards. So technically, no one can fire him, and we are knowing now that he is the one behind commercialization. So,
And for those that don't know, just to add some context, OpenAI just introduced potentially having ads within it. So what that means is that if John is looking for divorce issues because him and his wife are going through a rough patch, now you're going to get potential asks from divorce lawyers in your city intrusively popping into your ChatGPT. Unless, of course, you decide to pay for the premium version, Amir, in which case everything's going to be great and we're just going to keep your information for future use.
and you know what will be worse?
Tell me.
Thinking as a businessman in reality in this, what would be worse is I'll put a disclaimer under on a very small that like what we write now, informations can be wrong from AI, like
Like a
please
disclosure
review
that, hey,
the
yeah.
disclosure. I will put another disclosure that this information might have some advertisement material, and I will embed it inside the paragraph talking to you. So if you are actually asking, is it healthier to drink Coca-Cola or water? And the answer will be like, the plain answer of any person should be like, yeah, water, right? And if Coca-Cola is paying, I will actually re-inject it this way. And it's like, water is generally healthier for da-da-da-da, although water is components of the Coca-Cola, and the caffeine is known to be a very alerting. So the conclusion in here would be one Coke or two Cokes would not be really as harmful if you have it this way. And here, back to the conversation we were having before.
That's so dirty.
Yeah, this is where I think it will all go south. And that's where I'm completely against what have just happened. Because, and don't get me wrong, everyone has the right to make profit. So there is Grok, for example, or there is Gemini, or there is Claude, or other engines that are existing, which I will start using them more than ChatGPT for one thing to prove that you adopted the market based on this message. You came based on this mission. And people helped you exist based on this mission.
And now you pull the rug from under our feet.
Yeah, and now we're gonna lose the trust on that. And this is where I don't like actually the point. Like, we started based on this mission, and the fact that anything can be just like change it because I have a nice lawyer or I have a nice PR agency that has wrote it very nicely. That's really annoying. It's annoying. And again, I think that the control of humans or making us think about something. Your perception of things, of what right and wrong, comes from your education. And if we are, whether we like it or not, the education to our new generations will be happening by these engines, whether we even force it or not. Then anyone that controls these engines, it controls how we perceive right and wrong.
Well, look, it's definitely whenever something gets that much power, there's a way for power to corrupt, and there's always going to be an element of some governments or different governments trying to manipulate that information. And we saw that a lot, even, let's try not to get political, but even just during the recent American elections, if you searched on ChatGPT about the negatives of one candidate, it just showed you all the positives. And then if you search the positives of the opposite candidate, the seemingly no positive existed, and you just got all the bad articles. Now, it's arguable that, hey, there's maybe a lot more publications that are in popular that take one side of the political spectrum versus the other, but it's still, there's some researchers that proved how Google, even with the manipulation of their algorithms, impact election results to like a very significant degree. And especially people who are still kind of undecided, right? And it's the same thing. They will show you only pro things about one party and cons against the other. So what do you think is the way out? And maybe just to throw my 2 cents, I think it's also because these technologies are so new, it takes some time for people to understand how to balance it. Like even social media, I know I have friends now that just deleted Instagram, deleted Facebook. Maybe they just keep LinkedIn and Twitter, so I think people are finding a way. It's like anything, we develop AI literacy, we develop social media literacy. So what do you think is the end outcome of that?
Back to what we talked 2 episodes ago, Massimo. If we don't build our own technology, we're not existing anymore. This is the language of this generation. And my view, my 5 cents here, every government in the world, if you want to really be good to your citizens and to the generations and the existence of your country, you should maximize the education around AI now and make sure that the building of your own data centers, the building of your own infrastructure, the building of your own LLM models that actually make you have a say on what is being said.
You train it on the information that you want to input, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Because other than that, we will all be now plain vanilla, controlled by one brush that decides who's paying more. And that's it. And if we're now resisting it, we will look like the old generation. And now the new generation is like, do I wear pink or blue today? Let me ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
This is going into the wrong way. And now OpenAI made it very clear to everyone, it is for money, not for greater good. So
can I
be
just
aware of that.
Jump in there with, like, maybe before we change to the next topic, with a positive takeaway. I'm not going to disclose the name for now, but I think in the future episodes we'll bring them on as guests potentially when they're going to market. But I'm helping recruit for some like super cool deep tech roles, and basically the startup is building an AI product that you interact with it, like ChatGPT and Grok and Perplexity, kind of the LLM, how you talk back and forth. But it's actually built for real world breakthroughs in material sciences and DNA sequencing, physics. Like their team is crazy high percentage of PhDs, and they're basically translating all this research now into the product. So I have some hope that potentially what you normally take a research lab with 20 PhDs and a couple professors now is probably going to be done by one PhD student and a tool like this, right? If they have the right data sources. So I think that's optimistic, just like in the open source communities and blockchain, people believe in decentralization and having their own customizable models. I think we're probably going to have a similar thing when it comes to AI models. You're going to have the long tail distribution where you have the equivalent of Amazon, Walmart, eBay, and then you have thousands and thousands and thousands kind of long tail keywords for all the smaller and brands. So I think for models, it might be the same thing. You might have ChatGPT, Grok, and maybe the top 2 or 3, and you're going to have an infinitely long distribution of small customizable models of different sizes, different ways, different performance for your needs.
Alex, this is what I love about actually technology. You can use it in multi-billion ways and always make good for that. I guess I evolved some allergy to social media style or like mass products in general that controls the brains. Actually, how you seed an idea in the brain of a person, that's how you change the world.
Mm-hmm.
And using AI as tools like this for science or for testing or for lab or for developing a better life for everyone, as this is the maximization of brain power that we need and get to do. But actually start injecting AI or repurposing AI the same like we have done with social media or we have done with others. It's simply, I don't want to be philosophical and going about actually how religions got corrupted or how good messages have been disturbed to end up justifying for someone to kill someone. That all happens was just manipulating of an idea. One guy with a strong conception can change the world by just spreading an idea that can grow. And now think about it. How an idea can branch out as a tree in the old days, and now how an idea can branch out as is the truth in the current days. AI acts, data acts, a lot of things needs to be put in control because otherwise we don't need iRobot to unplug the power of the planet. We will unplug it ourselves.
But again, I think also we kind of touched on this a little bit in the last episode on kind of your optimism for people to build their own. There's technological solutions to technological problems, right? So, I think maybe we don't spend too much time here because that could take us down a whole nother rabbit hole. But yeah, like even if you look at the crypto space, the Web3 space, there's protocols where somebody doesn't agree with how it's built or maybe the level of privacy or transparency. And you have this long tail of some chains that are pure transparency where you have ZK snarks that you can show somebody, you can prove to somebody by scanning your personal wallet that Amir, you're X years old and you're a citizen of this country and you can board this flight because you paid for this ticket. But the person looking at it doesn't actually see any of this information, right? So you can verify anonymously, basically, that you are who you say you are without actually giving this to some bouncer at the club who's going to judge you on how your passport picture looks, as an example, right? So I think with all these LLMs, it's probably going to be the same thing. I'm hopeful in that there's always going to be some crazy, nerdy, open source engineers, and those are the people I love the most, that they will find some solution, just kind of idealistic solution away from government oversight and propaganda and all of this kind of stuff. So I do have faith in those people with that kind of a mindset.
Me too. But I think we should just spread the word. Let's put it this way. As I said, the same as social media. This social media, we didn't know when the social media was created that there would be like social armies manipulating the brain of the people. And now we're gonna have the same in a much more closer proximity. A few episodes away, we talked about TikTok acquisition as well. It's more to try to control the narrative, right or wrong, but people trying to understand that the narrative needs to be controlled. And in here, the narrative will be out of control. It's a couple of people will be controlling it.
And there are already certain things and certain words and emojis that are being banned on TikTok, which maybe we won't get into, but it's already taking place, the TikTok US. So
it is. I love that. Let's close on this. Wisdom of the crowd or wisdom of the star, guys. Let's see what you think.
Well, let's keep an eye out on the new museum opening in Egypt. Could be interesting. And if anybody's interested into a separate episode of me and Amir getting into that topic, could be cool to do a separate episode. All right. And thank you everybody for listening and watching to this lengthy episode. And we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.